All right, welcome to the daily market recap for Tuesday, September 30th. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the action today from the indexes, the liquid leaders, industry ETFs, then end the video with long and short setups going into tomorrow, like we do with every daily recap. So if you guys enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want my market takes throughout the trading day, along with the live stream at the open and any trades that I personally take, you can sign up for the Market Pulse Discord using the link in the comment section. Before we get to the indexes, I just want to tell my wife happy anniversary if you're turning into this so I don't get in trouble. And Cubs take game one. So that's exciting as well. What a great anniversary present. Getting into the indexes, not bad action either. A little undercut of the 5-day moving average on the NASDAQ. Came into the support gap zone, bounced at that area, closed right near the high of the day, and right near all-time highs, up 0.3%. S&P 500 also undercut the 5, undercut the 10 in the support gap, reversed, closed over yesterday's high. Very strong action out of the S&P 500, up 0.37%. The IWO, which is the growth stocks of the Russell 2000, little undercut of the 5 and the 10, closed right above that area, basically flat on the day, up 0.07%. And then ARKK, which is another kind of indicator that I use for risk on versus risk off, continues to trend over the 5-day moving average, making new 52-week highs. So until we at least break the 10-day, in my mind, that's a risk on signal. And then finally, taking a look at Bitcoin or IBIT as a way to track Bitcoin. Good strength after some weakness this morning. Continues to tighten up right under that 50-day moving average. Does look like, hopefully, this is a higher low overall. We can tighten up and maybe get going to the upside here. Next, we could go to the liquid leaders. We'll sort this by price percent change today. And BE really stole the show today. This stock had been going basically parabolic. It run from $16 up to $86. First pullback to the 20-day moving average is usually a good risk reward spot. I did try that. I got stopped out. Unfortunately, lots of volatility in that area. And eventually it did work to the upside. You would have had to sit through a pretty drastic gap down the next day, which I'm not willing to do. So that's fine. But really good price action from there. Today up 15%, nearly closes at all-time highs. Just incredible price action after that 20-day test. Robinhood up 4.7%, open on the low, close on the high. Potentially some window dressing there because today is the last day of the quarter, some rebalancing. And if you run like a hedge fund and you don't own Robinhood right now, they're going to ask a lot of questions. So it makes sense that we saw a lot of kind of money flow into stocks like BE, Robinhood, all the stocks on our leaders list today. KTOS, another slight unfilled gap up, closed near the high of the day, up 3.7%, making a new all-time high. NBIS made a new all-time high, but then closed a little bit below the previous closing price, still up 1.8%. Now we have kind of two gaps over that 5-day moving average, which is really solid. APP up 0.9% today, continues to just ride that 5-day EMA higher on extensions, pullbacks getting supported at the 10-day moving average. Really solid price action here. Tesla, little wick under the 5-day moving average, closes at right at the high of the day, and a new 52-week high, if I'm not mistaken. Is that 52 weeks? No, not quite. A new rally high, at least for Tesla here, and really acting phenomenally. First test of the 10-day got bought up. We've got two gap ups, well, I guess three gap ups, but two support gaps during this consolidation as we kind of stair step higher. Really couldn't ask for a better price action there. Google, a little bit more weakness today. Second gap down under the 5 and the 10-day moving average. We did undercut the lows of the pullback and the 20-day moving average and support gap. Undercut all three of those, reclaimed all three of those, closed at the high of the day, still down 0.39%. Alibaba, kind of a chop day, down 0.7%, still over the 5-day moving average. And after breaking out of a 3.5-year base, you expect this type of action. Looking for a pullback into the 10-day or maybe even the 20-day, depending on how we consolidate here as a secondary entry point. And finally, we have LEU, really really solid consolidation over the 5-day moving average. Typically, when you get a reversal candle like we got on the 26th here, where I think it was up about 6% that day, then reversed and closed lower, you'd expect us to follow through to the downside. But in a very strong market, in a leading theme, and a leading stock in that theme, like LEU is, We didn't follow through to the downside. We quickly undercut and reclaimed the 5-day moving average. Another inside day today, while some other names like I think OKLO is a little bit weak. Let's see. OKLO, yeah, a little bit weak there. What was the other one? The CCJ, a little bit of weakness there as well. So LEU down 1.5%, but consolidating over the 5-day moving average, not doing anything wrong there. Getting into some of the industry ETFs. First one that I want to point out, well, we'll go healthcare first. We had that ugly candle on the 25th under the 50-day moving average, followed it up with a gap up, two pretty solid days, and then today, really big follow through the 5, the 10, the 20 down here, and through the 200-day moving average on big volume. Still in the stage one base, so you have to expect a lot of volatility. You want to buy stuff like that on weakness, not strength, if you are going to trade it. But hopefully we can kind of get over the previous highs here and get into a stage two uptrend. ITA, this is defense and aerospace ETF, new all-time highs today with a little gap up, open near the low, close near the high. Semiconductors, new closing high after, I should talk about this, NVIDIA making a new all-time high, closing over this resistance gap, so we can eliminate that now. And when the kind of I need to get NVIDIA back into the leaders list. I'm just not sure which one to take out just yet. But when the kind of liquid leader in the market is making new highs, hard to be bearish on the market. Gold miners, new closing high as we continue to ride that 5-day moving average higher. Biotechs, higher highs and higher lows. I did trim a little bit of my position in LABU today. But intraday, we lost the daily view app. It was the third day in this extension, and I bought it all the way down here. So is it a nice trim for like a 48, 49% gain? We'll leave the second half of that position left working. Other ETFs to cover, XLF financial ETF, little undercut of the support gap, the 20-day moving average, and then close right at the 5 and the 10. We've had a lot of volatility here in some individual financial names start to break to the downside. So this is one to watch as like a potential warning sign for the market to roll over, but we're not there yet, and today's undercut could just be what you need before an accelerated move higher. NLR, this is the nuclear and uranium theme. I think this is setting up really well. We had that gap down on the 25th, got bought up. Since then, we've just chopped, allowing that 10-day moving average to catch up. I think this looks really good for a break over today's high as a potential entry for tomorrow. And then MSOS, this is the cannabis ETF. Big day yesterday, up 28%. Today gave back a lot of that move, down 8.5%. We did pull back on lower volume than yesterday. Still pretty elevated volume, but a close over the 5-day moving average, over previous resistance here. We'll see if this can shape up. We could see that volatility tighten and then hopefully get in this on a break higher. Now to the long setups, we got 12 to cover. We'll go most liquid to least liquid. So open door first, test of the 20-day moving average today. I think coming into this week, I said this could go either way on this day. If we could either break to the upside or break to the downside as a potential like short on the downside. And if you did short through yesterday's low, I think it's fine to hold on to that because we do have three unfilled gap downs here. And we've tested the 20, bounced pretty weakly, and then came right back to the 20-day moving average. Now we did that on lower volume on this latest pullback, which is why I have it on the potential like long watch list right now. But if you got a good entry on your short and you just want to manage your risk against whatever your entry is, I think that's perfectly fine. Because I don't have a short position, I don't have a long position, and we're in a momentum market. Indexes are at highs. We're seeing some pretty crazy price action out of smaller stocks. I will be looking for a break over today's high as an entry, stop at today's low, the 20-day moving average. BMNR, we had some weakness in Ethereum today, and even with that, this was only down, what was it, 2.4%. You can see a VCP pattern, volatility contraction pattern forming here, where every contraction is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. This is another one where you could say, hey, I think this is a short, and I'm going to manage my risk against the 5 and the 10 day. I think that's a quality trade that you could put on. And if you want to buy on strength through today's high, stop below the support gap low, I think that's a quality trade to trade on the long side. Because we have this tightness right here, you're going to be able to skew that risk reward in your favor kind of in either direction of the trade because of how crazy this stock moves when it does move. You're going to be able to manage your risk in either direction that you trade. Next, we have RGTI. This is the strongest of the quantum names. I do have still a short position in IONQ, but even that is slowly coming into the 20-day moving average. Volume is declining. One more kind of flush day into the 20, and I'll take that position off for a nice gain. But that's coming into the 20-day on declining volume. And RGTI is acting even stronger than that. Hasn't even tested the 10-day moving average after its move. What I would be looking for here is a undercut and reclaim of the low of the pullback, the support gap low, and the 10-day moving average right around that 28.30 range. You could buy it on strength through today's high. I think that's just a little bit trickier because unless you put your stop at whatever that day's low is, you're going to have to widen it out a little bit more. So position sizing, you'd have to do a little bit less. SOUN, this was viable on the undercut and reclaim of yesterday's low, the 20-day moving average today. Ended up working really well, closed at the 10-day moving average. Now just to break through today's high, stop at that 20-day moving average would be the trade there. Rocket Lab had good news came out today and just put in an inside day, which this is another setup like Open Door where you could go in either direction, the long or the short side. I'm leaning towards the long side because ASTS is up about 11% after hours last time I checked. So if we do get kind of that rocket theme coming back into the market, this is a name that touched the 50-day moving average 3 times here. We have a nice tight pivot, very similar to what RGTI did, where we touched the 50-day, touched the 50-day, third touch of the 50-day, then we set in a pivot, and then we went from 15 to 30. And this is the market where setups like this, they can give you asymmetrical reward to risk playing to the upside. So through kind of the pivot here at $48 is the entry. Stop, I would do below $46. But if we get a gap down, take out of today's low, take out of the 50-day moving average, I think that could be a short versus today's high. Joby, drawings did not save for some reason here. Really good action off the lows here. Went from $5 up to $20. So it's a stock that can make very, very strong moves. We pull back into the support gap around $12, uppercut the 50-day moving average, and has just chopped there since. And with yesterday's gap up, I kind of ignore that price action. And now we have a 2-day pivot right at 1630 as the potential entry. I love the shakeout of the 50-day, of the 10-day to the 20-day today, and then the strong close. So through that 1630 area is the buy point. Stop, I would probably keep my stop just below the 10-day, around 1550 to keep it a little bit tighter so it could size up more. First Solar, one of the stronger solar names. I'm just looking for a pullback and undercut of the 10-day moving average, support gap low as the entry. Stop would be the 20-day moving average and the low from September 25th. FUTU, we've talked about the Chinese theme over and over and over again in this channel. This has already made a massive move from 70 up to 200, right near all-time highs. If we zoom out here, all-time highs was what, 202? Since then, we've pulled back, let the 50-day moving average catch up, and now we're just kind of building in higher lows, lower highs, tightening up here. Just looking for a break over today's high as the entry. Stop would be today's low and the 50-day moving average. GRAB, grab, massive volume coming in on this breakout from $5 up to 660. What would that be? About 30% gain in 7 or 8 trading days. From there, lower volume pullback into the 20-day moving average. We've got the inside candle today. Just looking for a gap up, opening range break, take out of today's highs as the entry. Stop would be whatever the low of the day is tomorrow. But one gap down, which is slightly concerning, but really it's already made a pretty drastic move from $10 up to $38. So some profit taking coming back in the 20-day moving average is not that concerning to me. Looking for another test of that 20-day moving average, the gap zone low at 33.14 as a potential entry. Stop would be the low of this pullback at 32.15. Another one that you can play on strength. I'm just a little bit better at playing stuff on weakness, on shakeouts. It allows me to size up positions a little bit better. AMPX today undercut the lows of the pullback by literally 1 penny, rallied back up, reclaimed the support gap low. Now you can just play this on strength through today's high. Stop would be today's low. And then the least liquid stock, GSAT. This trades about $47 million a day. Really beautiful cup and handle. Kind of almost a wick play. Today's highs were slightly higher than yesterday's. Otherwise, it would be a true wick play. But just looking for a break through that 3660 area as the entry. Stop would be the 5-day moving average at 35.45. Next, we can get into the short setups. Again, most liquid first, then least liquid on the bottom. First is GEV. While we've had energy stocks continue to rip higher and higher and higher, GEV has not been able to get over its closing price after earnings on July 23rd. It did for a couple days, but we're still not trading over that now. We're trading below the five or trading below the 10, the 20, and the 50-day moving average. We gapped down after losing the HVC from that earnings day as well. But because we're in such a strong market, I don't want to short this on weakness. I want to short this on an uppercut and failure. So I've got alerts right around 627 as an uppercut and fail of the 50-day moving average, the gap high, and the HVC level. Stop would be above the previous highs here at 649. SMR, another energy name that is just extremely weak. So you have LEU, probably the strongest of the nuclear names. Then you have OKLO, which has made a big move, kind of weak as of late. And then SMR, which did a kind of catch up day up 22%. And since then has been basically a disaster. Uppercut and fail of the resistance gap lows, followed by a gap down. You lose the 5 and the 50-day. You gap down the next day, losing the 20-day. Little rally, uppercut and fail again of the 50-day, turning this into a resistance gap. Follow it up with another gap down. Just a lot of unwinding of position here. So for me, still, I don't want to take this on weakness. I want to take this on an uppercut. So that 38.20 area and the 20-day moving average would be the entry. Stop above yesterday's highs at 40.20. SNVK, this name has gotten very extended from 40 up to 120 in, what is this, 5 weeks or so. First little red candle today on a not a pickup in volume over yesterday, but pretty elevated volume. At one point today, I want to say it was up like 5 or 6%. Closed red, down 1%. For this, just looking for a gap up, then a loss of the daily VWAP, a loss of like the green to red move as an entry, and then either stop at tomorrow's high or today's high, whichever way you want to manage risk there. ARM, probably the weakest of the semiconductor names. We've covered NVIDIA making new highs. We covered SMH making a new closing high. This is just hanging around its flat 200-day moving average, not participating in this rally at all. We did have a little push from the 200-day back in September into a resistance gap, followed it with a gap down, lost the 5 and the 10-day moving average, another gap down under the 50 and the 20-day, uppercut the lows of that resistance gap. So evidence that sellers were still there. Another gap down, more weakness, low volume bounce day today. Just looking for an uppercut and failure of the 50-day moving average. The gap zone high at 144.30. Stop would be above the resistance gap at 147. Royal Caribbean is next. Was a monster stock. Was on the leaders list earlier this year from 165 up to 360. Basically 100% move. At our first test of 50-day moving average, which is usually a good risk reward spot to buy. And we did basically just rip from that point, right around 300 up to 360 for a nice 20% move. But then if you zoom out, we took over new highs for just 2 days and then started acting poorly, which is never a great sign. Resistance gap down, lost the 5 and the 10-day, another gap down, losing the 20-day, more weakness, losing the 50. tried to rally back above those areas, rejected, gapped up with Carnival Cruise Line's earnings, rejected, and then weak close today. Just looking for a break through the lows, stop at the 20-day moving average on this one. CIFR, this had the highest volume ever on the way down on September 25th, where it finished down 17.5%. From there, we've had a little bit of a bounce back over the 5-day moving average. This one is not one that I want to short on strength because it's already so strong. I want to short this on weakness. Let's get a gap down, take out of today's low, stop at today's high on that. MMYT, just a beautiful stage two uptrend from kind of the middle part of 2023, from $22 up to $122. So beautiful stage two uptrend, big stage three top, and now we are just starting to enter the stage four decline here. We've shown it in stocks like SFM. When you get into a stage four downtrend, it's very clean action to the downside. Even though this isn't the fastest moving stock, not one that you're going to have to babysit in your portfolio. With this, I would want to see like a 1 or 2 day bounce up to the 10-day, or maybe just like a 1 day bounce up to the 10-day. Get short there versus the 50-day moving average. If we just fall apart here, I'm not going to chase it lower. I'll wait for that bounce. But is a name that I think is headed way, way lower. And then finally, we have DFDV. This is a name that's been on the short watch list for a while because it's just been putting in lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, downtrend. Like very repeatable downtrend. Yesterday, uppercut and failed at the 20-day moving average, resistance gap, lows. Today, little gap down, lost the 5-day moving average. That was really the proper entry through yesterday's low today. So just a little uppercut of that area into that 20-day moving average would be my short versus the top of the resistance gap and that 50-day moving average. So that's going to be the daily market recap for September 30th. Hope you guys had a great September of trading, great Q3 of trading. Here's to a great Q4. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want my market takes throughout the trading day, along with the live stream at the open and any trades that I personally take, you can sign up for the Market Pulse Discord using the link in the comment section. Go Cubs.